Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Make City Make Spence. We are recording this on Tuesday, August 12th, year of our Lord 2025. It has been exactly 3 weeks since we last recorded the episode that actually went to YouTube, not the lost episode that was 2 hours recorded the night before. We had to record again for reasons that y'all that checked out our damn everything know and explain why. Um, and much like the video we recorded 3 weeks ago, a fair amount has happened. Detroit City FC, on the field and off the field, and we're going to cover as much as we can about that tonight. Um, like that episode 3 weeks ago, it's Sean Spence, Adam Hernandez, and myself, Garret Cometz, recording. And gentlemen, good evening. Glad to be with the both of you tonight on this. Shall we commence?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's get it.
So,
Let's rip and tear.
So we're gonna start off. We're gonna start off with the on the field. Um, Three matchups have taken place in the last since we've recorded. Few days after the announcement of Trevor James and Detroit City FC parting ways, was the last Jägermeister Cup group stage match for Detroit City FC on Saturday, July 26th, taking on Westchester SC of USL League One. Second time in 3 months was this matchup at Keyworth, the first being the US Open Cup round three in April. And a matchup on ESPN2 that I would say was not the most mind-blowingly impressive, but it was efficient. And a penalty won to Detroit City just before the half saw Atish Youth the Marriott. Westchester then went down to 10 men at halftime thanks to some shenanigans leading to a second yellow card. I didn't remember who the player was. I'm not looking it up. And then goals in the second half by Devin Amamensa and Matt Sheldon to see out this match. No matchups the following week, but what was at first reported by Mr. Hernandez in the Majors Detroit socials earlier on that Saturday, and then formally announced on Wednesday, was the addition of Kobe Hernandez Foster, 23-year-old left-footed midfielder, mostly central midfielder base, who had been last plied his trade with Birmingham Legion, went over to Las Vegas Lights, which saw part of a corresponding transaction, and then from Las Vegas Lights to Detroit City FC. Kobe made his debut and his second matchup for Detroit City FC in these last two matchups, both that took place this past week. Wednesday, August 6th, saw Detroit City travel to Rhode Island to take on Rhode Island FC, their shiny new stadium, and all the chaos that is currently engulfed with their club right now, both in terms of on the field results and issues of just issues in general. But a nil-nil matchup and some missed chances by Detroit City FC led to, unfortunately, a penalty handball situation by Reese Williams, followed by I lost count as to how long that delay was between when the penalty was announced and then when the penalty was taken, because in stepped in former Detroit in was subbed in was former Detroit City FC player Maxi Rodriguez and his new fucking haircut, which saw Maxi convert the penalty that was the decider, a 1-0 Rhode Island win. And then this past matchup 3 days ago, Indy 11 coming to town for another fun James Murphy's return, Elvis Amo's return, and for the first time, Detroit City FC got a goal in a matchup at home against Indy 11, although it was an Indy 11 own goal created by Otis Juf. For the second time this year, a man advantage, plenty of possession for Detroit City, plenty of shots, not many on target, but a 1-0 win. So three matches had Detroit City FC at the time I recorded this sixth place in the Eastern Conference. They are ahead of now Hartford Athletic, who are now in the playoffs. Winners of three of their last four in league play, and then Rhode Island in eighth. Cities behind Pittsburgh Riverhounds, who are in fifth, Loudoun United in fourth, and their opponent this coming Friday, North Carolina FC, who are in third. Sean Spence, I'm going to hand it to you just for your um, Kobe Hernandez Foster, I know you've been talking about as somebody who's been much needed for this side, and anything you want to add about the last three matches?
Um, well, I mean, I think that you know, what the club hopes that we're taking from these last three matches is that the team's turned a corner, that they're not playing the miserable ball they were playing, a couple weeks ago. And I don't really want to quibble with that too much. I would say that Westchester United is one of the very worst teams in the league below us. So beating them 3-0 at home is not exactly like, you know, let's not start sucking each other's dicks here, like calm down. Like it's fine, but it's not like a 3-0 win over Indy or, somebody at our level. A win is to be expected at home against a lower division side, especially a poor lower division side. So, bravo for like clearing the minimum. And I think it probably felt good to them to score some goals and, um, uh, but, given what had just happened off the field, it was very difficult for me to like get hyped about it. It's like, okay, cool. The match against Rhode Island, I thought we played okay. We weren't dominated. We just kind of, we gave up that penalty, which was a penalty, and um, the fact that Maxi came on, like subbed in to take it, which I don't think anyone has ever seen that before. I keep I've never seen it before. Surely, like generally if you sub in, you're not even going to try to grab the ball, right? You're not going to be like, yeah, this is mine. You're going to let one of the guys who's played the previous 60 minutes do that, but maybe not always, I guess. And Maxi surely did, you know, uh, put it home well. It's funny, the haircut is a return to his. I have a feeling it's like a back to basics thing he's trying to do, like mentally for himself, because he's not getting a lot of time and he's not getting a lot of numbers out of this season with Rhode Island so far, and so he's kind of he's focused, he's cut his hair, he's ready to grind, whatever. I hope for the best for him, and I hope he's happy there, because we really have spent the vast majority of this season sort of quietly regretting the fact that he wasn't in the midfield, right? Like that, the fact is the midfield has been the problem, like from the first moment of this season, and Lai coming back late and coming back kind of not at 100%, not the player that we had seen previously, but which is to be expected, right? It's going to take him a while to get everything back to, he'd been healthy for years at that point. Um, so it's going to take him a while to get back. But we didn't have anybody. The last time we played Indy, it was that was the time where we gave up. We had a 2-0 lead and we're dominating, and then they started pressing us, started doing a zonal man press type of thing to us, and we just like shit ourselves. And that was the time. I think I posted like on Twitter after the second goal, like this is a 3 alarm fire for the front off for the coaching staff. Like they've got to figure this out, and we never did. Like that's where we went down, right? We just kind of fell apart, barely won a match after that. So we get Kobe Hernandez Foster in a deal from Las Vegas, I think. Is that right?
Yes.
Birmingham to Vegas. I think
Yeah,
Malik, a defender from Vegas, went to Birmingham in the
it was a
corresponding
triangle deal,
transaction. Yeah.
right? I think that it sounded like one of those things where like Las Vegas wanted cash. Birmingham didn't have cash. Birmingham did have a player, so they kind of did a three-way shuffle, and we spent some cash to make Kobe ours permanently. And I, based on 180 minutes of viewing, like fucking amazing deal. Like, he's just exactly the thing that we've talked about needing a guy who can turn with the ball against pressure. He kind of instinctively plays on the half turn all the time. That reminds me a little bit of the style that Ryan Gravenberch kind of adopted as a deep midfielder for Liverpool last year. And he's left-footed, which
23
like
as well.
yeah, which does kind of fuck people up, especially like in midfield. It's so congested. You have to jump at a guy so quickly. You don't have time to think, oh wait, that's 23. He's left-footed. Oh yeah, where if you're if you're facing up to a guy on the wing he's gonna run at you all night. You get to know very intimately how he likes to play the ball. In the midfield, it's more of a welter. It's very difficult to try to sort out what someone's doing, and so Kobe's left-footedness seems to kind of give him a little space that the other guys don't have, and he's one of those, he's a player who has that ability to just sort of wiggle himself into space, like um, the same kind of pressure that has always stumped us has been completely ineffective these last two matches. So I mean, I am kind of over the moon about the acquisition of Kobe. Just exactly what we needed, like chef's kiss. And the fact that everyone said like, well, this is in the works before, so this is kind of like Trevor's last move, right? What a great, I mean, this is a good one. And you know,
And they
I'm
get
glad to
rid
see
of
it
him.
working out. Huh?
And
Yeah.
then they get rid of him.
Well, they didn't know. They got rid of him before he got, but they didn't they didn't get to evaluate the Hernandez Foster deal as part of his. But like I mean, we'll talk about this, I'm sure, in great depth. But the fact is that this is, the firing of Trevor was just kind of the last act to sever themselves from the inconvenient masses of dorks who believed in their project when it was, a fledgling thing. And now that they've got millionaires and billionaires like kind of spanking it to get involved, they don't need us. And they made it perfectly clear that that's how they feel, and that's how we're going to be treated going forward. Um, okay, so like at this point, you kind of have to say this is just another business, right? This is just another business in Detroit. I kind of hope that Detroit businesses do well, but I don't expect to see any kind of community leadership or anything out of this group. Are you kidding? Like, they're going to like the people they're allied with now. Um, the people who are providing the money and making the decisions clearly behind the scenes have enabled them to do the rollout of the stadium and in the way they've done it, and that's great, right? With private money, no public money, it was a thing. It was a challenge that we put before them, and they've met it. And um, it's unfortunately what it took to get there, I guess, was closing off all routes for longtime supporters to have any um, voice at the table. Um, Period. It was, I think it was kind of revelatory in the run up to yesterday's, announcement of Alumni Fi Stadium, or whatever it's called, Alumni Fi Field. I don't know, whatever.
Alumni Field.
Alumni. Um, where, it's a online commercial spun up bank from a fintech company based on the Michigan State Credit Union. Like, all right, it's bank. They're our sponsors. They're putting big money into us, and great. But in the run up to yesterday's announcement of the naming and the kind of the full blown hullabaloo about the stadium. Uh, it was interesting that 48 hours before that, or more than a week since they had begun publicly announcing that this was a thing that was going to happen on this day, and save your calendar. Like, so they, like, this wasn't something they got together quickly. There's a lot of planning. How long ago did they rent the AV equipment from you, Garrett? It was a while ago. But
August
that
1st.
didn't right. That didn't keep them from desperately kind of going through their Rolodex of old supporters that people would remember, um, less than 48 hours before the meeting and trying to get somebody in there to talk and be the supporter voice, right? They just forgot. They just forgot to invite a supporter to talk about it and you know,
Not just standard supporters. In like key when
oh
you
yeah, no,
think
I mean
of the
they're talking like talking about you know, people who the founders of Northern Guard and people who have run public projects for city and NGS. Um, you know, I don't want to out those people because you know I didn't talk to them about talking about this, but I mean the fact is that you know they made an announcement on Monday and on Saturday they were trying to get some of the prominent supporters to agree to show up and be enthused publicly. And I think that everybody told them no because it was such a, like, you know, clearly an offhand something we forgot. Like, oh, we forgot the supporters. Well, you know what? That is a telling detail and one that we have seen again and again recently, right? So, you know, I am not the kind of person who's going to, you know, hate on Detroit City now. You know, I'm a supporter of Detroit City. I hope they continue to try to be a community club, but I think it's not unrealistic to say that they're um, they that their new allies are going to pull a different direction um, when push comes to shove, you know. And uh, the fact that, you know, like honestly, if we had just, if I had just gotten a list of the board members that included a couple and that like said, okay, here's the actual board members and here's the supporter voices that we invite to be on the board. There is nothing like that. The board is all the original owners who they now kind of have nominated themselves as like the envoy of the supporters, right? They're as close as we get. Dwayne is as close as we get to a supporter voice on the board. And he's not a supporter, right? He's a founder. Um, and then we got the millionaire slash billionaire Trek. We got the uh, somebody that represents the new money that came in for the stadium, the group that invested in the stadium, um, and a eighth member that I'm blanking on, but is again, you know, a business person who has not supported the club or you know, like they're you know they're aware the club exists. They hope it does well. Obviously, they're on the board, but they're not a person who you know went to Cass Tech and you know saw Sean Claude Lawson score that goal in 2014 or whatever. You know, like there's none of that. It's business people. It's about business, and I'm sure that to you know the many ardent capitalists who listen to this program are probably like, you know, fuck yeah, you know, like stroking their capitalist peen about this. For me, as a person who looks at the problems in the world and thinks that the structure of the world needs changing, and you know, that I who had hoped to see some in some small way some of those hopes realized through this club. This is just a kick in the balls, right? It just fucking sucks to this kind of unmasking that we've had in the last 3 weeks. The firing of Trevor, the firing of Tiffany,
Yep.
the very
I was just about to say
offhand
that
and
was
like
yeah.
right the nature of it. It wasn't just the firing. Like there are ways that you could do this. I said this on the Discord somewhere. I'm trying to remember. Um, there are ways you could do this and not be so goddamn disrespectful, you know? But I mean, it really was. It was just like they fired him like they had like they were firing somebody for cause, right? It's the way you fire somebody who's fucked you in some way. Like, all right, we're done. This is it. It's over with immediate effect. It's the kind of thing you write in a press release when there's secure, as security's walking them out the building. And then to kind of do that bullshit with where they had the owners meeting and kind of pretended like Tiffany was still with the club and so they couldn't comment. But Tiffany was not with the club. Tiffany talked to me before that meeting and said, I don't work here. She'd already written a farewell message to everyone, like saying, okay, well, I've already worked my last day. It's our, and so what we've got here is a new pattern of deception and half truth, of kind of fake supporter engagement that's designed to just keep us at arm's length and just keep the shouting down. That is in no way meant to like extend an olive branch or to become a listening moment where they can learn what is bothering us about this, and we can talk about ways. That none of that is happening now. And I just think they just don't feel like they have time for it. They're like, fuck this. Like, you're not giving us enough money. These people are giving us millions. We care about them. And that's just all it is. Like, okay, like, eventually you're going to sell this thing and you're going to get paid, and we're going to watch it, become just another business, just another thing that and what will be, I'm sure, will be lionized by the club once this is a memory. They'll be like, oh yeah, we would never have made it if it weren't for our loyal supporters. And it's true. Like, we have buoyed them up again and again and again when it looked like the project was going to fail. And we have, I admit that they have done a lot of work and they've stuck with it. But without the support that they've received, this club wouldn't be where it is. They wouldn't be where they are. They wouldn't be imagining the future that they're now imagining. And so, I do think it's telling and hurtful that they have begun this next phase of the project, so clearly contemptuous of all of that noise. So,
Adam, we have now gone deep into part
sorry,
two.
I was just like, I'm done talking about these games.
That being said, this
Like,
might be our
okay,
quickest episode of Make City Make Spence we ever do. So I think
like
we've hit the formula here, folks.
like, okay, I'm speaking directly to the owners right now, or to people
Yeah.
who are trying to think about it from the owner's point of view. Um, the thing that I think the thing that they have to, or that they should have thought of, that is probably already too late, is that when you take these actions, it doesn't just take these actions in the present day, it also recontextualize everything that happened beforehand. If you've got a babysitter who is tender and caring with your child and really seems to be into it or whatever, and then you learn that they molest children, like, that tenderness is recontextualized into manipulation, right?
Yeah.
And that is what I think is happening among the supporters right now. That all of our previous interactions that were where they were pitching to us, like, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to do it together, and like all of that, like, now that has all been recontextualized into horseshit, just absolute fucking banal, like, salesmanship. And the fact that they didn't anticipate that problem, I think, is why they need to have supporters around when decisions are being made. Um, but that's a decision that, like, I mean, I don't expect this to get better. I don't expect this to be a flash in the pan. I think this is an absolute heel turn from the front office. I think that they have decided that we are an inconvenience that they no longer have to, you know, deal with, if they don't want to. And they don't want to. And, we've talked about enshittification before. And this isn't exactly enshittification, like, but it does seem to be the project of the time, right? How can we just sort of pull all of the juice and all of the soul out of a thing and turn it into money and then discard it? And we're in the middle of that process, and it is very discouraging to me. Okay, I'm done ranting. You guys can talk. Sorry.
All right, Adam. Don't even. You can talk. Let's. I think we're deep. You're deep. We're deep in the part two. So I think if you want to add anything on like Kobe,
We can do,
and
yeah, we
then
can talk
dive
about the
in.
games more. I'm sorry. I
No,
started
just I
thinking
mean
about it like,
one quick thing about the game against Indy. It was an earned goal, and I heard a lot of people uh you know bitching and complaining about, oh well, it's an own goal against Indy. Who cares?
an own goal
Diaz
against a 10-man team, yeah,
Yeah, Diaz earned that goal. That
right.
was He cooked the defender, making his way into the box, and I hate the rule in football where you know they don't get credit. Diop doesn't get credit for that goal because it ended up going off of a defender or an indie player, an opposing team's player and into the back of the net. So
Right.
I don't like that rule. That was completely orchestrated by Diop. It was an incredible effort by Diop. I wish he would have gotten credit for the goal instead of going down as an own goal. But that's it regarding,
Right.
these past 3 weeks in terms of the games.
Actually, now that you've reminded me, there are some other things I want to say about that game. Like I got sidetracked in rant mode. Like, okay, in terms of actual play against Indy 11, I didn't see it like the people who were like, we barely won. Like, look, we really dominated them. Um, and I'm not just talking about with 11 to 10. Like, we dominated them when it was even in that first half hour. The possession stuff we were trying to do for the first time really was working. Having the 3-man back line, but the two outside backs kind of taking turns, overlap or underlapping, and to
Even though
create
you were losing
overloads.
your mind with commentary because they kept referring to it as a back four.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I wish that Matt Sheldon has some stuff on his Become Elite channel where he talks about how to see football. And he's like, and I watched that and I was like, okay, yeah, this is all, I got all this. I'm not like, I didn't really, I was hoping like maybe I'd learn something, but I didn't really. But I did realize like, oh, people really have a hard time picking out like the shape people are in. And I guess maybe just because it's a quarter century like fixation of mine, that does not like it just seems perfectly plain to me. Like we're playing in a back three um with wingbacks. And sometimes those wingbacks have, the ability to cut in field. Sometimes we have, the outside center backs doing those underlapping runs. Now that we've got Kobe in front of the back three, we really don't need a second guy there. So we're really playing like a 3-1-4-2. Uh, um, and it was pretty impressive. I you know it, Now you'd like to see us score more than one goal against a team down a man, but watching the match, like Indy scrapped pretty well. Like they're a hardworking team. They work hard for each other. They make it. You don't beat a guy and get a clean look. You beat a guy and there's another guy. And that goal was absolutely you know, an earned goal that should, you're right. I wish that Ates got credit for it, because he roasted that dude, and I felt kind of bad for James Musa because I mean, what could he do? You're standing there, Ates kind of banks it off of him almost, like he's just kind of like, oh shit, like it's it's
I thought
hitting
he
me in
hit
the
him off his
chest, and
face earlier in the first
uh,
replay. I thought it went off the head.
no, he just like I think at the last second he's like, well, maybe I could trap this down and the keeper can keep it, but like it was whistling in there and it just went straight off him and into the net. Um, and it's one of those where it's like there's nothing he can fucking do. Like Ate's just put him in an impossible position, and it should get more credit for that. And generally, that's the story of the last two games to me is Ate's Joof looking like the player that we thought he was, and that we were wondering why he wasn't getting more minutes. And Kobe Hernandez Foster allowing us to keep the ball in a way that, is absolutely necessary for the way we're trying to play. Like, for us, the fact that we couldn't really keep the ball against pressure was a big problem, and has been a big problem. It's been the main thing that has kept us from being competitive in matches. And so the fact that this player seems to alleviate that is massive. Um, so I'm sorry. Now we've gone all the way back to the games.
Well,
See, if I was writing, I could just delete things and put them in a different, or like, okay, well, I wrote a bunch of bullshit, but this doesn't flow. I'm going to put this in a different order. But yeah, can't do that on the
can't remember
podcast.
if there's anything else I wanted to say about that game, but oh, and then I guess
Maxi's
another
fucked up
positive.
haircut scoring.
I don't care about that. I'm not going back to that game. I guess another positive too is defense does look better too. Even without Carroll back there, I think that's another positive that we can take out of this. You know, and yes,
One
they
goal
are.
conceded in the last four, and the goal
Yeah.
being a penalty. No
I,
goals
I
in
think
open play.
I think a lot of it is
Yes.
Michael. Like Michael has played better in the middle, middle. Um, there's times where you're like, oh, he was a forward. His Cruyff turn is really sharp, um, and gets him out of trouble. Um, and
He
he's,
was decent. He was decent too against Indy, I thought too. He
yeah,
made
no,
a
that's what I'm saying. Like, I think
yeah.
that he's, I'm sure that it's a different position, right? Like, I think we tried Shane in the middle, and that's really not Shane's jam either. He's a right center back. It's like that's his position. That's where he wants to play. Um, and Michael, has shown an ability to play all over the field. But I really questioned whether he had the um, sort of anticipatory nous to handle that, the mental work of playing that middle center back. And he's looking better. Um, so you know,
I thought Connor had a good
hats
game
off
too
hats off to
against
the dude,
Indy.
huh?
I thought Connor had
Connor?
a good game
Yeah.
against Indy. I
I
thought it
feel
was a
like
typical Connor hardworking type of match for him.
right.
Yep.
Kind of working both ends of the pitch.
Like
I thought he looked really good. I thought he looked really
right.
good.
You kind of know what you're getting with Connor, but I
Yes.
mean that is a massive compliment to a professional footballer, because being reliable and being like having your good stuff be repeatable is like so much the secret sauce of the top level. Like, there's a lot of people who can do amazing things with the ball one time out of 12, right? Um, but what really, shows up is what you can do nine times out of 10, like, and Connor really, he's just a reliable part of this team. And uh, yeah, I was pretty happy with basically the entire side against Indy. Was it a dominating performance? Kind of. We didn't create as many chances as you'd like. But that
He
is
didn't-
City's like jam.
Sean, they had it should have been a 3-0, some 4-0 game. It's just the common thing with this team, though, it seems like, is just the inability to finish, because we saw it last game as well. Matt Sheldon should have had 2 goals, it seemed like, in that second half. That one of them he just skied over the crossbar. And
Yeah.
um
Lie against Indy. Darren Smith again against Rhode Island, because
he,
I mean, there's moments where the chances are, you
Yeah.
can see the moments are being done, but other than Otis, there's
Yeah.
and how
there's
Yeah. No, I
ironic
mean,
too is that the goals that they should have scored, that especially that Sheldon goal that he was pretty much in the clear, but just skied it over the crossbar,
all you
doesn't
had to do
go
was just
in.
tap it in. Just
But yeah,
tap it
tap
in.
it,
Give it a
tap
little tappy tap.
but then you have Dioff, scoring off of that, that bank shot after cooking that Indy 11 defender. So I don't know. It was it's just it seems typical right now with the team and the trouble that they do have scoring goals at this point in the season. And the goal that they do get is an own goal. But it's a very, like I mentioned, very, very deserved own goal. It's just, yeah. I mean, the chances were there against Indy. It's just once again they just couldn't capitalize on them. And yeah, I mean, it's you hope that that's something that they're going to be able to rectify here in the coming weeks, because the East is incredibly tight. What is it, 10 points separating third and
Yeah. So
eighth or something like that? And I mean, even Tampa Bay is in the equation right now. That's with 17 points. What are they,
because
like
Tampa beat
four?
Indy in Indy like the weekend before 3-1. So let me ask you this because do we want to go back to Adam staying on part two, or do we
Yeah,
get
because I
hold
I
off
do.
on this part?
Well, I do have something
Yeah,
I
no,
want to say on part two.
let's go back to the part. Let's go back to the talking about the
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you know what? I mean, I shouldn't have mentioned the rest of the standings. I mean, let's close that out for part one. I think we've said everything that we need to say about part one. Um, I don't want us to go and rehash the standings. Everybody has a fat mob on their phone, so they can go ahead and look at how close shit is
yeah.
in the East. But one thing that I did want to mention, and Garrett, unless you had something you want to mention too
I was going
about.
to ask because we have 3 matches left in August. We got Friday at North Carolina. Friday, folks, remember, Friday night. No, you don't have a week. Saturday, you have a Saturday free of Detroit City FC. I know it's fucking weird, but enjoy it. Saturday, August
So weird.
23rd at home versus Tampa Bay Rowdies, and then home again on Saturday, August 30th versus San Antonio. I don't know when we're going on again. So let's just say 3 league matchups in August. How many points in those 3 matchups? Sean Spence.
Uh, hold on.
North Carolina are third, 5 points ahead of Detroit City FC.
Yeah, I don't just tell me let's see. North Carolina, Tampa Bay, and San Antonio.
Yep.
Uh, um, 4 win loss draw.
Okay. So you say we're going to lose to Tampa?
Oh no, I mean no, I don't. I wasn't saying that Tampa was. I wasn't viewing them in order. I was just saying like 4 points. Like if I were to guess, I think we lose to North Carolina, we draw the Rowdies, and we beat San Antonio because I'm expecting that we're going to trend upward now. Um,
San
you know,
Antonio
a
third in the
lot.
West.
Well, yeah, the turmoil. So let's assume that Trevor's dismissal is a great deal of turmoil, right? And I mean, I think we can see that it's a great deal of turmoil based upon the fact that Danny felt it was necessary to have them do like the hug the fans like yeah 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 celebration where they all were
Worst.
like we were doing a trophy lift basically. That's the last time we did it. I think was when we won the NISA thing. Um,
4 years ago.
so that like that to me tells you like, all right, well, they are feeling it. Like, they're trying to like just manufacture some positivity here. Um, but this is their workplace. It's daily. That stuff is going to gradually recede, probably in terms of how it dominates their concentration and the kind of conversations behind the scenes, and I expect that the results will get better as they put that behind them. So I think that we are potentially, the third best team in the East when we play well. I think that Louisville and Charleston still have demonstrated that they can reach a higher level than us this year. But you know, there's no reason why this group can't like come good, win some matches down the stretch as we become accustomed to doing, and get back into control of a home playoff spot. Um, I would say that if we fail to do that, that is a black mark against the technical staff for the results they're producing because they haven't met our goal. And when you don't meet goals, I don't think you should be rewarded. But
Bingo.
I don't know if that's the world we live in.
Especially with a new sporting director that's being recruited right now that apparently has the
Hmm.
final say in the offseason per the owners
We'll
meeting.
see.
But we'll see if that happens.
Yeah,
um,
I got my doubts.
yeah. So you're going lost Friday, draw against Rowdies, beat San Antonio.
Lost draw win.
Um, lost draw win. Okay, Adam.
I'm going. I have the same amount of points as Sean did, but it's a different sequence here. I'm going with
Which one?
draw against North Carolina,
Yep.
which would become our consecutive first time in consecutive matches that we've earned points um, since early May.
The
Uh,
fuck.
I'm going to go with a win against Tampa Bay Rowdies, which would be the first time that we've gotten three consecutive matches where we've earned points since late April going into May. And I'm going to go with a loss against um, San Antonio.
Because why the fuck not? Um,
They
so
gotta, San Antonio is going to come out and avenge that loss
you
at
you guys say they're
Keyworth.
going to do it for our buddy Harry in San Antonio
No,
for the
fuck
fourth.
Harry. No, fuck
Uh,
Harry. They're going to do it to avenge that banger of a goal that Skaggy scored in Keyworth. What was that, 2 years ago now?
former professional footballer and Detroit
Former
City FC
professional
player
footballer.
Scotty
Yeah.
Simonson.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm same amount of points that Sean mentioned, just different sequence for me.
I'm gonna try my luck because if I'm not, because when we did the last time we did one of these predictions, I
No one
was the
cares that
fuck,
you were right, Garrett. No one cares that you were right.
but I was right,
Is that
motherfucker.
what he's about to do? The last time
Mhm.
we predicted, I fucking
That
crushed it. Like,
he just did it, Sean. He just did it.
bro,
Uh,
you know how
uh,
much. Here's how much thought goes into these predictions. The amount of time between when you ask me the question and when I spit out an answer. That's how much I've thought about it.
Sean
Like,
had to
I
bring
don't.
up Thought Mob to to see what the next three
Yeah, I'm
games
like,
are.
hold on, who are we playing? I don't know, man.
we're beating. We're gonna beat. Here's how fucked up it's gonna be. We're gonna beat North Carolina on Friday. We're gonna lose the Tampa Bay Rowdies, and we're gonna draw San Antonio.
Oh my
So
God.
we're all 4 pointing it. It's crazy.
We're all 4 pointed.
Yeah.
We each have different sequences in the different sequences. So let's see who if this happens.
I
And then
mean,
if they get more than 4 points, well, we all just fuck off.
yeah. I
What about
mean,
if they go,
like,
whatever that, go ahead, Sean.
Go on.
I'm just looking at September and I'm like, that's the month that's going to make a difference for us because we are facing a lot of really good teams. Orange County has got a pipeline going from the LA Galaxy Academy, the same one that produced fucking Kobe Hernandez Foster, right? They just brought in one of the best defenders from MLS Next last year. Um, they're good. New Mexico, good, right? Lexington,
Midweek, New Mexico midweek.
right. New Mexico midweek. Then we play Lexington. They're fine. But then it's Louisville City. So that's the month of September is Orange County, New Mexico, Lexington, and Louisville. We're gonna
October's
be
worse.
we're gonna be I don't know. Like,
North Carolina allowed in Charleston, Tampa. Charleston,
okay,
Tampa away.
okay, so wait. But Tampa, okay, they've had their problems. Charleston is the one team out of that group that is like an elite side. But I would lump Louisville City and New Mexico and potentially Orange County into a similar level with Charleston, which is
I haven't seen where
three
Orange
of the
County's at on the
matches.
table. Ugh. Where are they
Where
at
are
right now?
they? Yeah, I don't even know. I just know I've watched them recently and I'm like, oh, they're good.
Orange County's seventh, but they are 4 points from third, which is currently held by San Antonio. Tulsa
Yeah.
have an 8 point lead in the West.
Yeah. Tulsa are, when do we play them? Have we already played
Nah,
them?
we don't play them this year.
Wow, we lucked out on that one. Like they're scorching hot. So I mean,
Boy,
it's all in City's hands. We're obviously not where we would like to be in the standings, but it's not a disaster right now. And I guess what I'm looking for, in terms of, you know, the people who survived the ouster of Trevor James, or who possibly manufactured it, need to show some improvement over the last 2 months of the season, right? The team needs to play better than it has, in my view, to be where they said they wanted to be, which is hosting a home playoff spot. Um, and that's still possible, like easily possible.
which
But
is a incredibly it's incredible to say that it is possible because it absolutely is, just purely based on how they played the past, since the beginning of May. It's hard to believe that that is actually the case, but it
yeah,
is absolutely the case.
you
Yeah.
know, I think we're kind of inured to this as American. Like when you watch American leagues, it's all like this. You know what I mean? There's nothing in every other league in the world. You've got to be in the top, 1 to 3 spots out of 16 to 20 to consider it a successful, like a big success. And here, like you could be eighth in the East and make the playoffs. Like you're in the bottom half of the East. Your playoff team. Like, um, you can kind of just keep spinning that forward. Like, who made the playoffs? Who made the playoffs? I mean, I covered the Chicago Fire for years, and um, they were absolutely dog shit for most of those years. Like, really, the one of the worst sides in the league, but they were seldom out of the playoff race until like 2 weeks left, right?
You
Because
got to
there's just so
think that
many fucking spots.
you got to think that's a money thing too. Like it. How do we keep people's interest
Right.
in
Well,
this? Oh well,
because
let's
there's not enough of a real soccer fan base to know you're going to sell out every home match, right? You got to create some intrigue and some knockouts to get people to fill the place. Um,
yeah,
and I guess it's fine. I just I really wish the league I crave a single table and a true league.
absolutely.
Just let's just play everybody home away and have the standings be the standings. Like but I'm an old man yelling at clouds.
All right. Back to the Future for part two, Adam.
Um, one thing that
No,
I
I was
want to
thinking about
mention
like
about
Chow behind you right now. Sorry.
one thing that I just wanted to mention about the whole stadium thing, just kind of expanding on. Thank you, Sean.
Sorry, that was supposed to be really
Per-
cool.
Oh my.
Perhaps expanding on Sean's point there. Maybe I'm not expanding on it. Whatever. Um, I think supporters need to be very, very careful on how they approach this new stadium, especially when they're talking to people. Because I saw this today in some of the chats and some of the discords on the back end of things that casual fans might not see, because they're not any of the discords, that have to do with Detroit City FC. Um, I saw people getting upset because there were people not happy about the stadium deal, which a lot of supporters are happy about it. They're excited about it. I get it. It's an
Yeah.
exciting time, um, when it comes to that. But there are a lot of people getting down on residents of Detroit, skeptical about what is happening with yet another stadium deal that is entering the city. And
Right.
the last stadium that went up in the city of Detroit was a massive, massive scam because it was sold as going to be this new neighborhood, it was called the District Detroit. And, they're going
Right.
to build these neighborhoods and these different, kind of like these different boroughs and stuff within it. And here we are, pushing
Yeah.
7 year or 10 years later, because
Yeah, eight
once
years.
point, yeah, 8 years right now. Um, it is nothing but a stadium. And that's it. There's no neighborhoods, there's no bustling neighborhoods or
There's
anything
a lot
around
of
it. And
parking lots, though. A
there's a
lot of
lot of
pay
parking
parking lots.
lots. There's a lot of parking lots. Cass Corridor still looks the exact same as it did before, the Little Caesars Arena was built. But I hear a lot of supporters right now, a lot of Detroit City supporters, a lot of Detroit City fans, um, seemingly just disregarding some of these concerns that people in Detroit might have. And a lot of these concerns are, you know, again, I don't want to disregard themselves, but some of them are ill informed. And I'll give that to them because they
Right.
think that, there's a bunch of tax money and everything being taken from the city, and that's being used to build the stadium, which we know that is not the case, from what we've been told. And I assume that that's going to be true. Um, but I'll tell you one thing right now. The last thing that residents of Detroit, especially people of color in Detroit, which is most of Detroit right now, the last thing that they need are a bunch of white suburbanites, Detroit City FC supporters and fans talking down on them about what this stadium actually represents. This can be done in a non-condescending way, in a non-confrontational way
Right.
by Detroit City FC supporters, which is incredibly important here, especially too if we're talking about diversifying this fan base here. Because where is this going? Yes, it's going in Corktown, or on the border of Corktown, which, historically was a working class Irish, neighborhood. But it's also going on the border of Southwest Detroit, which
Right.
is still to this day a highly Hispanic neighbor, or
Yeah.
highly
It's kind of
concentrated
like
Hispanic neighborhood.
Mexican town, sort of.
Exactly. And so, like I said, I think Detroit City FC fans need to be incredibly, incredibly careful how they approach this, because
Yep.
I don't want to see Detroit City fans being looked at as, like I said, a bunch of white suburbanites talking down on people of color, Detroit residents who have far too long have been fucked over by big corporations, big business, and billionaire owners to
And
line their
suburb
own
and yes,
and
suburban
suburbanites.
based business owners.
Yes. And
Right.
even though that may not be the case here, like I said, we need to be careful about how we approach it, because it can be taken a bunch of different ways, and that's not what we want. And I'll tell you one thing too. One thing that is still real in this, and still a very big concern, despite how this is being approached by Detroit City FC, being privately funded, so on and so forth. Gentrification is still a very, very big, real concern in the city of Detroit, whether a stadium or new neighborhood project is privately funded or not. So again, please, 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 Detroit City supporters, do not talk down on the residents of Detroit who still have some very, very real concerns about this stadium project, whether it's privately funded or not.
Agreed.
And that's and
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
all from me.
Well, I think that a
Sometimes
lot of sorry, can you hear
I
me?
was going to say sometimes folks, in other words, and Adam is nicely saying this, allow me to say this in a little bit more of a direct tone so people don't condescend. Sometimes the best thing to do is to shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up and just be empathetic. Be empathetic to their
Bingo.
concerns.
Bingo.
Like
Again, it's
I,
go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry.
oh, this is the like if this is all going to come good, you know what I mean? If I think like I do believe that what has happened is we kind of didn't think we were really we were as a supporter base we were extremely aggressive with the front office about not accepting public funds to build a stadium, and that was the right thing to do. That is the
Yep.
right thing to do. um but what has happened in the after like is that um to join USL we had to get a rich guy. And then to do this, they've had to get more rich people and they've had to include them on the board and give them equity and all that stuff. And what winds up happening is they're busy with all of these projects, which means they're in the room with wealthy, self-confident, wealth people all day long. Um, and so I don't think that, like, I've called this a heel turn, and I think that, from my perspective, it clearly is. I do think that, like, Sean Mann, I don't think that, they're become nihilists or something. I think they think this is the best pathway to get a good outcome, right? I just think that they have created a golem which will take control. And um so there is still a possibility for this thing to break good for everybody. It will be difficult, um, and it will require a lot of clarity and a lot of sort of determination not to see what happened to District Detroit happen to the plans for this stadium, because the plans for the stadium do include, like, you know apartment buildings and retail space, and it is basically a District Detroit kind of thing.
Hmm.
They just don't call it a district because of what happened with District Detroit, which is the money using every hiccup in the economy and every excuse during the building of a large project, which takes years, to slice away at all the stuff that were public goods. Um, that they promised in order to get the funds to build the stadium, right?
Yep.
So we can flip that on its head and create a good outcome out against all expectation, um, by actually following through, by actually creating neighborhoods that become a public good, that by actually tying into the uh, transportation network to allow people to come to a game without a car. Um, we could, like, this can all still come good, and I can be 10 years from now, if I'm still alive, telling everybody that, like, I was dubious. I thought they were fucking wrong, but they did it. And, I would love to eat my words here.
The
Um,
massive opportunity.
right. Um, the problem, as I see it, is that the money is always the money. And the money is always optimistic and generous at this point in the project. But it's difficult to look at the environment in which this is happening and think that this is going to proceed without severe financial hiccups. And what I have seen, and I think what we all have seen, is that those kind of public goods are the first things to go when there's any pressure. And that what we're going to wind up with is a nice English style, or European style stadium in the middle of a parking lot brown zone that is what America seems to default to. Um, and did I say brownstone? Brownfield. That's what I meant. Um, parking lot brownstone. That's, what the hell is that?
I think it came off as Brown
Like,
Zone, so
yeah, I was thinking, like, it's something that, like, I don't know. I have, I watch YouTube, and there like, it's interesting to watch Europeans react to American stadiums, because they're like, wow, like, certain aspects of American stadiums are kind of mind blowing to them. Like, holy shit, the technology is really crazy. The fact that the Wi-Fi works everywhere in, like, a big modern stadium that's been built, they're just like, this is like science fiction. Like, this is crazy. But before that, they're always standing there going, what the fuck? Like, it looks like it just was dropped from outer space and, like, had a big blast zone when it landed. Like, every stadium is surrounded by just like a wasteland of asphalt and parking. And, like, I really, really hope that we can avoid that fate. Um, you know, But that's what happens when you start running out of money and you go, okay, well, we're not going to build a parking garage. We're going to have surface parking, and that's going to take the space that we were going to put the apartments in. So that's not happening either. But we promised we'll plant some trees, and then it's like, oh, trees are expensive this year. Like, you know, the extent to which they actually succeed in producing these public goods is how I will judge this project, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Indeed. Other thing that I'm also the I think it was a Cranes article came out late last week or so about 150 was it 150 million loan crediting something along that. So
Yes, yes.
Yep.
so this is this is a giant undertaking.
I mean,
Um,
like, yes, it is, but it's not like we're borrowing $150 million to like go play the slot machines and hope we hit. Like, you're building. This is a capital fund project. You know what I mean? like, like this is what money is for. Like, what are we fucking talking about here? You know, um, our like I don't know. I think that the way we think about public goods in America is ass backwards. That we have watched the steady devolution and destruction of every bit of our infrastructure and all of our buildings and all of that because we're shiftless and profit seeking. That's our entire ethos is like greed is good. And it sucks. It means you can't, it means no one pays for maintenance. It means no one keeps things up. No one builds for posterity. Um and you know like we are going to we run the risk of being a society that entirely vanishes within 20 years of its like kind of lowering, that like there will be no physical remnants from our existence um for future generations to wander. They'll just be like, wow, those guys made a lot of trash. um so I don't know. I'm on a completely different rant now. I'm gonna stop.
um,
But yeah, I
Adam,
know
did you
it
have
is a
anything
lot of
else?
money, and that is why things are different now, right? That's what I made all those jokes on Blue Sky about the bankers, um, where I'm trying to remember what I said. Um,
Twitter
yeah,
and Blue
fascism is
Sky.
happening here, and yet I'm all. Can't we just agree to love banks because banks are the coolest? You're telling me your credit union spun off a new virtual bank using a turnkey operation purchased from a third-party fintech group? Oh my God, do they have T-shirts? Like, that's how I feel about that. Like, it is what it is. In a well-run society, bankers would not be so powerful.
Agreed. Um, I would fail to add in part two's discussion. Um, Sean, you briefly mentioned it, the Tiffany James news um, from last week. Um, it sucks because for as much as I feel like Trevor James got the much deserved credit and everything for on there, Tiffany James behind the scenes. Um,
Yeah,
and for that to be gone now from the club is something that is very, very concerning for me moving forward. For
yeah,
and I think of for all players coming in, men or women, how is their experience going to differ compared to, dare I say, onboarding of those that came before them? So
yeah. I The loss of The loss of Trefany. Trefany. That's their new. That's their
Trepany.
new combo name. Trefany. Um, Jesus. I'm actively trying not to cough right now. So like it's fucking me up. Um, the loss of Trevor, I think, contributes to us, you know, seeming a little less credible as a footballing institution. With the loss of Tiffany, um, I think, there are probably other people who could do her job, but I think that most of them couldn't do it nearly as well, like at a technical level. And also, without it would be it's very difficult to replicate her combination of like vast curiosity about other people. She really is just interested to know what's up with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like one of the most like externally motivated people I've ever met, like really, really interested in other people, like and kind of like activated by other people. And so what that means is like as she did that job, she took it almost as like, people joke about like mother of the club, but I mean, kind of, like she wanted, like she did that job as if her basic task was seeing to the thriving of the players, um, and whatever that means, encouraging them to think about their dreams and think about what they're doing every day to get there. Um, and you know, just a remarkable person and asset for the club and for the way they were discarded. Um, like if I were someone in football, I would probably be like, oh, I don't know, like looks like if I'm going to be the sporting director there, apparently I gotta like get along super well with Danny Dichio because like they're going to be a huge credit wherever they land, right? Um, and it just kind of breaks my heart.
Yeah. What about you, Adam?
Yeah, it was Tiffany's role on this team, like Sean was mentioning, is maybe somebody can do it again, but her familiarity with just the culture surrounding the team is perhaps irreplaceable at this point. It
But
was
it might
kind
be
of
might be gone now. Like,
yeah, I mean exactly,
what's
and
our
it
culture?
was
Like laddishness, you
yeah, I
know,
think and I
bro
and
culture.
yeah, it's one of those things like I what was and it's not just the players too, like she really did have a great connection with fans and supporters as well. And a couple of weeks ago, um we everybody I don't know, people who see me at games oftentimes sees some little kid following me around when I'm doing my thing where it's taking pictures or over in the media tent, and that's my kid. I bring him to almost every single game that I go to, and we just kind of trail around. I take pictures, and of the game and everything that's happening there, and do the merch stuff before kickoff. And we were going into the suite side. Um, and I think this was before the Pride Razor check presentation. That was the game, and I had to go meet with um, one of the city staff members to kind of iron things out because Jam decided to go on vacation or something that week. And I'm going to talk shit about Jam right now, and she's going to kick my ass later on. Um, but I had to do some Pride Raiser stuff because, like I said, Jam was gone. A much deserved vacation for Jam at that point. Um, and Tiffany was standing right there over by the, we're kind of like, the players who aren't playing gather in that tent, over by the corner flag. And
DMC pop-up
Tiffany,
tent.
yeah, and Tiffany remembered, um, something that happened with my kid. And this was, what game was that? Oh, it was the Open Cup match against the Stars. I think it was what, like 3 years ago or something. And my kid managed to get on ESPN during that match, flipping off the Stars players. And he could barely make it over, the fence line at the time. And he was just sitting there, middle finger
Like a
going
frustrated.
against, whatever. And Hato saw that and wanted to, get a hold of us because he wanted to meet my kid and give him a shirt and everything like that. And Tiffany remembered all of that. Like she remembered, you know, when that happened and Hato reaching out and because she mentioned something to my kid about it when we were there a few weeks ago. And again, I'm that's not some isolated incident too with Tiffany. I mean, I'm sure, a ton of supporters and fans can come, forward and mention some type of similar situation that, that they've had with Tiffany, in the back and forths and whatnot. But and that's always been something that has been cool with this club is kind of that connectability with somebody like Tiffany, who, unfortunately isn't there anymore. And if they do end up filling that position, which I kind of have a feeling they won't, um, our fans, our supporters, going to have that same type of connection with that new person, whoever it is that may be. I wager that they won't, and that sucks. Um, and like we mentioned, that's a piece of the club that is gone now.
Yeah.
It's a cultural aspect of the club that is no
Yeah.
longer there anymore. So,
I think that I have a feeling that the new direction, yeah, will be less touchy feely, right?
mhm.
Um and and a bit more, you know, traditional, laddish. And I
Another
think that is a
professional
step
sports
in the
team in the city.
absolutely right. I think it's just a step absolutely in the wrong direction, like 100%. To see that, to talk that out and go, yeah, that's the way we want to go. That's where I'm like, you know, y'all are fucking up. You're fucking up. Like you should have a supporter in the room at some point because you are fucking up. Um, and
And
it's
I
too late
know, I
now.
know, and I know that, you know, something they fans in the United States tend to do is they try to, equate soccer, football to, the four major professional sports, which is fine. I get that aspect, but soccer,
Sure.
especially around the world, has been so much different when it comes to the supporter culture that is intertwined within a club. It's not the same. It is not the same as
Yeah.
a fan base of an NHL team or an MLB
But
team.
that's the other thing is I think they've gotten around the Lions, right?
Mhm.
And they see the money that pours into the NFL, and they
Sure.
see that, like, like I just think they've gotten into a new context, and in that new context, they look at us like, well, you're a pain in the ass, you know, like, um, and fair enough, I guess. The difficult thing is that, I plan to be a pain in the ass who sits in the new press box, right? So, that like, I guess I'll become the loyal resistance. I don't know. Um, but the the plan clearly is less engagement. The plan clearly is they don't want that kind of intertwinement. They want a clean commercial relationship. Our job is to buy things, and their job is to put on a show and engage in the worldwide soap opera of soccer. Um, and that's just, that is such a diminishment of the spirit of the thing we thought we were trying to build, the spirit of the thing that we poured, that a bunch of, you know, non-millionaires poured their money into multiple times and supported vociferously in a way that has made all this possible, right? Um, but we are inconvenient now. And I think the plan is to, they've already scraped many of us off you know, like barnacles. And I think the plan is just to keep going. To have, you know, you guys and I sitting on a couch with Dion and Jackie and Ken and the old crew. And God bless them for trying.
Mhm.
I just don't think it's going to work that way.
Yeah.
We're more resilient than that.
Things that help us make us resilient. Sean Spence, cat pics. Where should they send them to?
Send them to Shield Chafing I'm at Shield Chafing on Twitter, and I'm like shieldchafing.social or something on Blue Sky. I don't know. I never know my Blue Sky handle. It's just Shield Chafing, which is SCYLDSCEAFING. It's also my email address if for some reason you want to engage in that kind of extended, antiquated kind of conversation. I will probably read it and intend to respond and forget entirely and never think about it again unless you email me back angry. I just want to be completely transparent here. I'm extremely forgetful. So
Adam, what about you and ways that they can find the Majors Detroit and all our friendly affiliations?
You could find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at TMS Next Adam. You can find the majors by first going to our website, detroit.themajorsports.com. From there, you can get to all sorts of different socials that we have, whether that be Twitter, Blue Sky, um, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, the whole gamut, at TMS Next Detroit. Also, make sure you check us out on YouTube as well at youtube.com/the majors TV. And yeah, that's it.
Oh, I just saw that Danny Trejo just got traded to Oakland. Um,
What?
Breaking
yeah,
news.
yeah.
Oakland?
So I opened Twitter in order to post my cat pic, which is of Pony Boy. That's his. He does the social role, where they're like letting you know, like I love you so much, but they don't really want you to touch them in that moment. Like you just kind of have to go, okay, cool,
Wait, are you talking about
because if
Danny
you
Trejo or your cats?
my cats,
Oh,
um, Danny Trejo, you know, like he's got a ton of ability, and he tore it up for Phoenix in 2023, and torched us real bad in that match
With
late in the
Poland.
season. Yeah. Um, you know, but like I don't know where he would fit on this team right now. I would hate for him to take minutes away from Mates right now. But like I think that he's potentially one of the most exciting attackers in the league, and we just need to roll him out there, and tell him to keep going. Look at that! I
See,
started talking about soccer again. Holy shit!
Breaking news happens here, folks. GM Comats, Twitter, Instagram, Discord. For me, gmcomats.bsky.social. Also, channel 451 Tunnel Talk. Back at it later. That'll drop later on this week. You can find them 451DET and 451DET.bsky.social. So, uh, Adam's got to do double duty this week. Sucks. uh, do we have anything we want to add? Closing thoughts, gentlemen. Sean.
I I'm ready for the fall. I am tired of this heat, man. I I take blood pressure medicine that makes me kind of susceptible to heat, and I work in a pizza place. So it's summer, it's 90 degrees outside, so it's 80 degrees inside. And after like 9 hours of that, like like I am cooked. I'm like jerky. I'm beef jerky, basically. Just kind of dried out, like I've been laying in the sun for 6 hours. Um, and yeah, it's miserable. I'm ready for this fucking shit to end. Um, Unfortunately, we seem to have fucked up the planet a little bit, so it's going to keep getting hotter and wetter. Awesome.
Adam, what
There's
about
my
you,
last
bud?
thought.
I echo the sentiments. I cannot wait for the fall. I am so fucking sick of this heat.
I will end it with this. Um, we have talked a lot tonight about our things we are uncertain about with Detroit City Football Club. Our uncertainty with, we've talked a lot about this summer about the uncertainty of this on the field version of this team this season, performances we've seen, um, what's left to come of this season, the final 2 months left. We talked about the uncertainty of what to expect in the future based off some of the decisions we've recently seen. Uh, People that we've known well that have had significant involvement in this club, making it the club that it is, discarded. Like their things didn't really matter. Their efforts did not really matter. Um, and we're entering a future with the newest stadium, Alumni Field, and still slated to be completed for 2027, which could be a tight timeline. So there's a lot of these things here that there's uncertainty, and um, it reminds me a lot of life and things that are uncertain. And I think also when I see this uncertainty with the club, I also now think back of and recently the what this club has given me, not the actual physical club itself, but people that I met because of club events, matches, things that used to be at the clubhouse, prime Sean Spence run, taking care of the place in like 2018, 2019, etc., all that stuff. And relationships with people that are, like family nowadays. These two gentlemen here, and how what started off as going to the club to see these people, to club things to see these people. I see, you see and chat with these people more so outside of the club, and able to celebrate weddings of friends near and dear to us, and also be able to count on them in times of the opposite of that. So I'm thankful for that. And I'm thankful that I still have that. And we all still have that to some extent for all of us that have been involved with it the way that it is. So as we move towards this uncertain time in Detroit City Football Club or in our lives, or maybe all of it in general, I, for some odd reason, remembered, oh yeah, there's this thing I've been saying for these last few years. I might as well actually try to use this here. And that is we go onward. So thanks to everybody. for checking out another edition of Make City Make Spence. Who knows when we'll be back on? We'll can't guarantee anything in there, but make the most out of everything. In the meantime, we'll be back on soon, and have a good night.